Have you ever found yourself changing who you are just to fit in, or you stopped yourself from doing the things that you really wanted to do because you were too worried about what other people might think about you? We have all been there, being stuck, overthinking, unable to live the life that we truly want to live because we're allowing somebody else's opinion to hold us back. But here's the truth, okay? You don't need nobody else's approval to live a full, authentic, and joyful life. Imagine the freedom and the confidence and the peace of finally letting go of what people think. In today's video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to make this your reality. And so by the end of our time together today, you're gonna have a roadmap to stop caring what other people think about you and to start living in your truth, okay? So if this sounds like the kind of freedom that you need in your life right now, hit the like button and stick with me because this is your moment. Welcome. If you're new here, I'm Amika Coleman. I'm an entrepreneur, a speaker, a mentor, a founder, a mom, a wife, and I am here to help you elevate your faith, build unshakable confidence, and step fully into your God-given purpose because faith moves and confidence builds. Before we get into letting go of this habit, we first need to talk about why in the world do we care about what other people think about us in the first place? It comes down usually to two things: fear and connection. So fear, because we're afraid of being judged, we're afraid of being rejected, we're afraid of not being enough, and it's all a part of being a human. Like, we want to belong, we want acceptance, but when we chase approval, we actually start to lose ourselves because we're acting out of fear, not freedom. And then there's connection. Connection is, we care about what other people think about us because we want to be the person who keeps the peace. We want to be liked, we want to be loved, we want to be well respected. And there's nothing wrong with all of those things. There's nothing wrong with wanting connection. It only becomes a problem when it comes at the expense of your joy, at the expense of your happiness, okay? And so over time, focusing too much on other people's opinions can make you feel stuck, like you don't know who you are anymore. Let me know if you can relate to this feeling, because if you can, just know this: you do not have to stay there. You absolutely don't have to stay there because that is not your portion, okay? And then here's another thing that we don't talk about too often is listening to other people's opinions all the time. Like, when we're constantly listening to what other people have to say, that really does have real consequences for our own life. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed out on because you were listening to something somebody said, or you were afraid of being judged negatively? How many goals have you put on pause because you worried that you would fail and that people would notice? And then this is a big one: how much of your energy have you spent trying to keep everybody else happy while you felt exhausted, right? And uncertain about who you are? That gotta be very, very draining, right? I don't even have to tell you, you already know. But the most important thing and the most powerful thing to remember is that the only opinion at the end of the day that matters truly is your own. This is your life, this is your time, this is your story. And the moment that you decide to write it on, guess what, your own terms, that's when true freedom is going to begin. And so how do you stop caring about what people think about us? Now that we've unpacked why we care and how it holds us back, it's time for us to take action. So here's your step-by-step guide to breaking free from this habit, because it is a habit, and to start living freely. Number one, you want to ask yourself this. Ask yourself, what is most important to you? Not what's important to your parents, your friends, not social media. I'm talking about you. What is most important to you? When you know your values, it's going to allow you to filter out all the opinions and all the other things that don't align with them. And so, say for instance, if your value is kindness, and then somebody walks up to you and criticizes how you look, how you dress, whatever, then in that moment that their opinion doesn't matter to you because it's not in alignment with what you stand for, which is kindness, okay? So you can filter that out and say to the left, because that's not how I'm showing up. Those are not the values that I exhibit. You know what I'm saying? And then number two, one of the fastest ways to stop caring about the opinions of others is to remind yourself what you bring to the table. Remind yourself what you bring to the table. Think about all the unique gifts you got, the talents, all your wins, anything that just really make you you, right? If you gotta write them down to remind yourself, do that. Grab a notebook, grab your phone, start making a list, because you gotta start reminding you about what you bring to the table. You gotta show yourself that you're not just playing small, that you got the juice. And sometimes we have to write these things down and see it in a visual format so that we can remember. And that's so simple, but so effective. Maybe you're great at listening to other people talk. Maybe you're a creative person. Maybe you've overcome so many hardships in the past. Every time you feel the weight of somebody else's judgment, I need for you to go back to that list, because that's going to be your reminder that what other people think about you ain't got nothing to do with you, because you're already enough just as you are. And so here's my challenge to you. I want you to each week take one of your strengths and lean into that strength, right? If you're somebody who tells great stories, tell great stories. If you're physically strong, if you work out and your fitness is on point, then lean into that. Celebrate yourself for all the good things you're doing, because the more you focus on the things that you're good at, the less other people's opinions are gonna matter. And so most importantly, you're also gonna start trusting yourself and your abilities way more than anybody else's validation. And that's the level that we wanna get to. We want to start trusting ourselves, because that's going to change how we see ourselves, and it's gonna also change how we move. Here's a mindset shift that's actually going to change how you see other people judging you forever. Rejection is not about you. If somebody doesn't like what you do or who you are, guess what? That's their story. That's not your story. You're not for everybody, and that's okay. You will never be for everybody. You shouldn't want to show up being for everybody. That's actually one thing that kept me stuck for a long time in my life. I wanted to be liked by everybody. But as you probably heard the saying, everybody don't like apples, right? You could be the sweetest apple in a bunch, but guess what? There's some people who like oranges and they hate apples. And so no matter what you do, they're not gonna like you. And so the quicker you can step into that realization and say, okay, if I'm putting on this facade or whatever, if I'm trying to show up and be like who I want other people to be, who I think other people want me to be like, and they're not liking me anyway, it's like, why waste that time and energy? You might as well show up as your true, authentic self, so that you can make room to draw in the people who are naturally for you, the people who naturally appreciate you, the people who naturally love you, your quirks, your personality, how you move. You gotta make room for those people to come, and you make that room by showing up as yourself. People can't be attracted to you and know that y'all have similarities and that y'all are like-minded if you're not showing up as who God called you to be, right? So time out for, trying to appease and to appeal to other people. Show up as who God called you to be, because there's so much freedom there. And then another thing you can do that's very freeing is build a circle of people around you, specifically intentionally, who love you for you. Stop spending time around the critics and the naysayers. Get you some people around you who gonna be your cheerleaders and cheer you on, who's gonna remind you that you're enough on the days where you forget, because we all need that reminder. And if you don't have that community of people, be intentional about building it. This is something that I've had to learn how to do myself, and I'm still learning how to do. When you had to overcome trauma, and maybe you have trust issues and things like that, it's not always easy, but the reality is that you can start today and build whatever it is that you desire to build in life. You just have to put in the work, and that's where most people get stuck. They get stuck at the put in the work part, because they're like, oh, this is so much work, and I don't want to take the action. I don't want to take the step. But faith without work is dead. You got to trust and have faith that God is going to send loving, meaningful, well-intentioned people in your life. But then you also have to put in the work and go where you can find those people. Put yourself out there, be a little bit more vulnerable, share yourself with people, have conversations. And through that, you'll find that you'll start to build your own version of a tribe, not one that you've inherited, but one that is very intentional, where you can let your hair down and feel yourself around your crew. And so I'm challenging you here. I'm challenging you here too. And get out there, Be vulnerable and go find your people, because you need those people in life who's going to build you up and not tear you down. Iron sharpens iron. So get you some irons in your life, okay? And then if you want freedom, you gotta practice freedom. Freedom is a skill just like anything else. It takes practice every single day. Do one thing without worrying about what other people are gonna think about you. Wear that bold outfit. Speak up at your work meeting. Post that photo. Who cares about it? You know, over time, you're going to start realizing that you are so much stronger than your fear. You're so much stronger than the opinions of other people's, and you're going to start to lean into yourself and trust yourself so much more. And so that's how you get over the opinions of people and gain your freedom, is a day at a time, a step at a time, a task at a time, an action at a time. It's a process. It's a process, and eventually you will make progress, but you got to move your feet first. And so at the end of the day, here's what I need for you to remember. Your worth, your happiness are not up for debate. You don't need validation to live a beautiful, meaningful, and free life. You don't need that. This is your time to stop overthinking, to start living, and to not allow what other people think about you to keep you and to hold you in bondage, right? So I need for you to start living. If this message has inspired you any type of way, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. I appreciate your support in the conversations that we have together. Share this with somebody who you think may need this reminder. Remember that freedom starts here, and it starts with you. So I need for you to go live your truth. Keep the faith, bet on you, because God already did.